if I was called up, I would serve my country, man.
I want to ask about Jeopardy co-hosts. Ken, who's been your favorite so far, besides yourself?
Ken Jennings.
Yeah, it's me, then a long gap. I really liked Aaron Rodgers. I'm really enjoying Mayim Bialik this week. The thing I love is seeing different people do it and realizing, oh, it's still Jeopardy. You know, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be Alex because he was so special and so great at it, but it still feels like Jeopardy with a lot of different voices, and that gives me a lot of hope for next season because they've got a lot of really solid options. Like Jeopardy's future is bright. Can
you do it if your schedule allows? Would you do it?
If I was called up, I would serve my country, man.
We're all rooting for you. Did Aaron Rodgers ask you for any advice before he did it?
He did not, in the same way he doesn't for the Packers either. What a dick. Like, give me a call.
Is there anyone, for all of you, anyone that you'd like to see come in as a guest host, or, James, Brad, Mark, would you do it?
I am looking forward to LeVar Burton because he was one of the first names that got mentioned, and as soon as it was, I was like, oh, he's perfect. And with the Reading Rainbow cred for all of us Gen Xers going back a long way, I'm really excited to see him.
I don't watch the show anymore, but I will say that Ken did very well during his turn.
I'd love to see them try out Brooke Burns or my colleague Anne Hegarty, the most fearsome woman in the world.
This show is super intense. I get stressed out watching it, but in a good way. So how do you mentally prepare before a show? Do you have any pre-show rituals that you do?
Well, I get all tweaked out on crystal meth just to maintain that edge. No, well, actually, that's a joke, but I do drink a lot of coffee. I feel like, baseball players have those huge pots of coffee in the clubhouse, so it kind of helps you lock in. But otherwise, it's really, it's a TV show. So, I've been around it a lot, and it's, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Like, the knowledge is in my head or it's not. So I don't have any real superstitious rituals, let's put it that way.
Got it. How about you, Mark?
Well, all the British chasers take our inspiration from our first producer, the great Irishman, Michael Kelpie. 2 words, batter them.
Just keep those in your head. How about you, James?
I like to watch some old film of the show in my trailer when I'm just getting ready, trying to get in the mindset of the chaser. And then I like to listen to some amp up music on my way up there. I went with Pantera this season.
Very nice. And Ken?
Jeopardy's a great cure for stage fright. So I'm like Brad, I'm not too worried about the game. I'm usually more worried about the jokes. So I spend most of my time beforehand thinking about the jokes. And I always have a Diet Dr. Pepper. And the only reason I'm telling you that is in hopes that Dr. Pepper will see that and send me a case.
Maybe a new sponsor. I have to ask, so many of you have won so much money from game shows. What has been kind of the most insane thing that you bought after your big winnings?
I always disappoint people with this question because they want you to just go to the club and make it rain. And I don't even think my wife and I went to Paris for like a week, the world's most sensible trip. And I think I bought a nicer TV than the old CRT we had. Of course, this was 15 years ago. So just incredibly boring dad answer.
I like it though. How about you, James?
Technically it was a wife purchase, but she got me this piece of art with me wrestling Ken Jennings with Alex Trebek as the referee. That's definitely number 1.
That's great. Brad?
I bought a Porsche when I was a younger man, but I'm actually shopping for a new car now, and I'm looking at like the crossover SUV material. So we all get old. I don't need to go 100 miles an hour anymore.
Name a brand. Try and get a sponsorship deal out of this.
That's good. Yeah, I like the RAV4 and the Subaru Crosstrek and a bunch of other fine automotive products.
And Mark, have you had any splurges?
Yes, you're looking at them. My top teeth. I got them replaced because being a massive sugar eater, they were struggling. So I got implants done a few years ago.
Little known fact, that's what all British game show winners do.
Yeah, we need to.
You guys are great. Obviously, you guys have a great banter together. You see it on the show. Backstage, does it continue? Does the competition stay on even when the cameras are off?
Oh, 100%. I think the concept of the Chaser Lounge with us watching backstage and kind of heckling the active chaser is one of the best additions we've made to the show from the international versions. We're kind of the only ones that offer this. And I think because the audience is familiar with us already, they know our kind of rapport rivalry. It really brings a new element to it.
Yeah, it's also really fun to see, and this happens to all of us, is there are times in the lounge when we'll see the one who's on stage just not know something that we would never believe that they wouldn't know. Like the other three of us have it down, and everybody has those holes in their knowledge from random places. And that's the fun one. You can see us almost, sit back in our chairs like, oh my, like, how did he not know that?
Yeah.
I think that was I always think that was the secret sauce of the Jeopardy GOAT tournament, was nobody had ever seen Jeopardy with trash talking. Like, there's one moment in that tournament where James zings Brad, and like that's the moment the chase got greenlit in the U.S. right there. You could
Jeopardy
see
with
it
trash
happen.
talk. I love that. That's a good description. That's the synopsis of the show. I always wonder with Jeopardy or the chase, shows like this, how do you prepare? Obviously, you guys are all super, super smart, but do you study? Like, do you go back to your old textbooks or anything like that? Or is this just ingrained in you?
Well, I have a set of flashcards that I made in 2005 for the Jeopardy Ultimate Tournament of Champions that I still go back to. But the real thing that I really have to keep up with, since I'm getting old, is the current pop charts and stuff like that. Like, I had to, it was a fun experience. I listened to the whole Billie Eilish album just because it was so huge. And it's, I'm still stuck on like the new wave from the early 80s usually. So it's been fun discovering some new current music, but that's the kind of thing that I wouldn't necessarily run across in daily life, and I have to really make an effort to keep up with.
Well, you should read Us Weekly too.
Yes, and I read Us Weekly every week.
You have an online subscription. I better tune into it.
What about you guys? How do you prepare mentally? Do you go back to old learnings, or is it just in you?
I'd say it's the other way around. I don't worry about the old stuff. I tend to know it, but I'm working on the new stuff all the time. So James and I are often in consultation about what's coming through that you need to know. Okay. They've mentioned the Spotify top 10. I'm now putting that on my must listen to, because famous last words, I'm okay with the 20th century. You're not going to ask me much I don't already know. But the 21st century, we hunt as a pack, and we're always looking at ways to get that extra 1% to make us just that bit sharper.
Yeah, well, I will say, like, when someone like a Billie Eilish comes along, there's going to be a question about her, but like, what kind of thing are they going to come up with? What if her middle name is Pirate? That's I don't think that's come up on the show yet, but it's definitely a kind of thing you could imagine them asking about. You'll file it away in your head, like, okay, I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, now that we get all our news through social media, it's really just a matter of, when you see something you don't know and you're like, I've never heard of that band, or I've never heard of that YouTuber. Like, you really just have to take a second to follow it up, even if you'd rather roll in broken glass than see Logan Paul boxing a boxer. You kind of have to put in the time.